In today's video, we're going to be discussing big deals. That doesn't mean little apartments or studios or small houses or terraced houses. It doesn't even mean detached houses. When we talk about big deals, that means mainly apartment complexes. And we're going to talk about, and I'll show you why these are much better return on investment for your money than buying one house here, one apartment there. And the main reason is because when you buy an apartment block, whether that is in this country or another country, you've got one roof, you've got one main front door, you've got one bit of ground around it, your garden and things like that, one path going up to it, as opposed to having lots of different houses. And again, I had lots of different houses in my portfolio, and you're constantly doing something. The roof needs a repair, the front door needs a repair, you've got this that needs repairing. It's just a nightmare when you've got so many that you have to keep working on all the time. So you get a much better return on investment when you do a big deal, because everything's enclosed and it's valued differently as well. It's a lot easier to get finance on it, because you'll get commercial finance as opposed to a buy-to-let mortgage, for example. So it's valued differently. But let's go into the video now. I'm going to go to my screen, we'll do a screen share, and we'll analyze everything, and I'll show you how to find these deals for yourself. Let's do it. So we're going to be focusing on multiple unit deals. So what this means is, and the reason that myself and a lot of other investors focus on multiple unit deals, is because we don't have to pay for loads of different roofs on houses to be replaced every 10 years. We don't have to worry about the front door and the outside and all this things constantly having wear and tear on them. The best thing about a big unit, like a block of apartments, is that everything is just under one roof, it's easy to manage, and we can get a lower price per unit on each of the apartments. So let's go into it then. What we're going to do to start with is we're going to open up Rightmove, and we're going to look for sale. Okay, so let's go for CV1 because that's right in the center of the country. And we want to go out to 40 miles, because remember, when you're an investor and you're doing big deals, so I'm going to show you what I would typically do with my clients through this example here. But when you're doing big deals, it doesn't really matter where in the UK, because you're not going to manage it yourself anyway. You're going to have a management agent. So price range, we're going to start at $1 million. All of this doesn't really matter, but we're looking for flats or apartments. Okay, so we got 32 results, over $1 million within 40 miles. So this is in the Midlands here, you can see from the map. And then all you're going to do is you're going to repeat this same exercise for different areas within the country until you find the best deals. So this wouldn't work. This is a house, 26 bedroom apartment. So this is Jewellery Quarter in Birmingham. So I know straight away this is going to be beautiful because it's 4.5. There's 26 units here. Let's open it up anyway and have a look. See, this isn't the sort of thing that I would invest in. 26 bedroom apartment. And the reason I wouldn't invest in this is because the value has already been added. I mean, look at this. It's absolutely stunning inside. The value's been added, the developer's made the money, and you would be buying it as an investment. I mean, the sort of people who buy this are investment firms or anyone that's involved in pension schemes and investment programs and things like that. They're the sort of people that are going to buy this because it's a safe bet. Even if there was another crash and this went down in value, it's still going to make them a return based on their investment. So that's the sort of people who will buy this. And actually, if you look here, it's been misleading anyway. It's actually 17 apartments for 4.5 million. So just to show you an example why we wouldn't buy this, let's load up the calculator. 4.5 million divide that by 17 apartments, you're going to pay £265,000 per unit. So that, to me, I mean, it all depends on the ROI, which I'm guessing they're not going to show you. Okay, so they're showing 16,730. So that's what you're going to get per annum. So we're going to take the £265,000. We're going to divide that by 100. That will give us 1%. So 1% is 2,650. Okay. So the return on this is absolutely terrible. You're looking at 6%, which to you and I as professional investors, we wouldn't even touch that. But to some investment company or whatever, they might be like, yeah, okay, we need to put the money somewhere, so let's just go for it. So let me show you then the sort of deal that I would do. Got to find one first. Okay, again, 19 for 3.3. I wouldn't touch that again. You can see it's beautiful foyer there. Nice, nice. Okay, this is all really nice stuff. House in London. Yeah, okay, okay. Okay, let me show you this because this looks like a good example. This is another unit that I wouldn't do. Here's the reason. It says 1.75. The reason I wouldn't do this, even if it's a great deal, is, remember what I said at the start, look at all those roofs, look at all those front doors, look at all those gardens. I wouldn't do this deal because it's just going to cost too much in upkeep. It's just too much there. So we're going to get rid of that straight away because we wouldn't do that deal. Oh, that's interesting. So you see this house here. I was actually interested in moving into this house, funny enough. It's owned by, what's her name? The lady from Dragon's Den, Hilary DeVay. So she's owned this house for a couple of years now, I think, 2 or 3 years. And she can't sell it. It's been on the market for quite a long time. Just hasn't sold. I think one of the mistakes is that either her or somebody else before her split this beautiful house up into multiple units. So it really makes it pointless to buy a property like that to live in because you're going to be sharing with other people. The whole point of spending 1.7, if you're going to buy a house like that, which I personally wouldn't, I would only ever rent a house like that, is that you're going to have neighbours, which you don't want. You know, never buy a house like this. If you've got the money, don't ever buy a house like this because you'll never be able to sell it and you haven't got that flexibility. Okay, let's look at this deal then because this looks quite good. So this is 33 units for 1.7, which looks on the face of it an absolute bargain. So let's dig deeper and find out what's going on here. Okay, looks nice. I'm still waiting for the catch. Oh, that's a poor show by Heart of Leicester there. You cannot read anything that's written on there. I don't even know why they uploaded that. And again, you can't see anything. Why did they even upload this image? What a waste of my time. It looks like they've been doing some work because there's a pallet there. There's a skip outside. So I'm guessing they've done some work to this recently. Okay, but it looks okay. I mean, on the face of it, there wasn't anything major apart from there's a broken window here. It looks like security glass, which is a concern. So I'd have to drive to the location and have a look at it. But let's dig a little bit deeper then and have a look. Right, so they're claiming a 9.24 yield. Yeah, I'm not sure about this. I will check that out. Yeah, so I think we're going to close this because we're happy with this deal so far. Okay, so 2 miles from the city centre, you see here, which is exactly what you want. You want a mile or two. So 2 miles from city centre. Okay, that's perfect. 2.5 miles from the train station. So again, that's great. 2.5 miles from train station. That's exactly what we want. Okay, that's lovely, lovely. Now the next thing we want to look at, before we even go into any more details, because this is quite good so far, let's see what there is around the blocks and where it is in comparison to the city centre. So there's Leicester, there's the university, so it's on the wrong side for the university straight away, so that wouldn't work. We've got a space centre there. And, oh wow, here we go. Gold mine. Right here we have got, that looks like less than a mile actually, to the hospital. In fact, let's check this out. So let's bring this up on Google Maps. Let's paste that in. And then let's get some directions. And that is, yes, so that is perfect. That's absolutely perfect. So it's less than a mile walk to the hospital. And driving is probably going to be 3 or 4 minutes. You've also got Severn Trent Water just there. So I'm surprised that we found this deal so quickly, because this is a cracking deal. Let's have a look at that and see if it all stacks up. Let's get back to the description. So we've got 1-bedroom apartments. So we got one, okay, let's have a look at this properly. So they're saying 184,800 per annum is the rental income. So let's make a note of that. Because here's the thing, whenever you see these yields that agents put on, you can't ever believe them, because they're almost never accurate. They're always, they make them much better than they really are. So we've got 11 units at 500. So that's a 1-bed. Okay, so we've got 11 times 1-bed flats. And let's get the rental income on that. So they're saying 500 per month. Okay, well, I'll go with that for now. And then we've got 22 at 450. So 22, these are going to be the studios at 450. PCM, which stands for per calendar month. And then let's bring up the calculator. So let's get some calculations first of all. So we've got 11 1-beds. That's 500 a month. So that's our income monthly. And then we're going to times that by 12. So annually we're going to get £66,000 according to the agent. And just one other thing, let me just check this. See, I don't get why they're saying estimated rent value. Why is it estimated? If you're an agent, surely you must know exactly what the rent value is. But okay, let's just continue on with this. So again, we got 22 studios at 450 a month. And we're going to times that by 12. So we've got 118,800. So there we go. That looks like it's going to come up to what they said here. Let's add on the 66,000, 184,800. Okay, so good. Their figures are accurate. So that's good. So far then, let's look at this. The purchase price is 1.7 million. That's the purchase price. And we've got 33 units within there. So it's going to be easier than trying to quantify this via the 1-bed or the studio. Let's just make it really simple. So we're going to take the 1.7 and we're going to divide that by the 33 units, giving us 51,500 per unit. Now that's actually brilliant, and that's a lovely, lovely purchase price, and the sort of thing that I would do, because you've really got two options for buying into large blocks like this. You can either go high-end luxury like those ones we saw at the beginning, but the return's going to be very low. It's going to be a very low yield. Or you can go for something like this, where it's very cheap to get into. You're probably not going to have quite as high of a clientele. You're not going to have, maybe solicitors and accountants and people like that living in there. You may, if you're really on the downside, you may have housing allowance living there. But again, it doesn't really matter as long as the unit is occupied. And one other thing to note, you're probably going to have a 10% void ratio on this if you're doing professionals. If you're doing housing allowance, you're probably not going to have a single void because there's people crying out for housing right now. So here's what I want to do before we even go on. I want to just really test these figures that they've given. So they're saying 500. I want to open up Rightmove again, and I want to check the area and see what other flats are renting for. So that was called, what's the name of that again? The Lays. So let's just get the postcode. Postcode 4. Yeah, so here we go. The Lays. LE4 OQJ. Okay, here it is. And let's see what rental prices are in this area then. So we want flats or apartments. And let's go up to a 2-bed just to make this easier. And let's go half a mile. So we've got 2 results. Both apartments, both 2 beds at 600. So if we look at, let's see an example of this. Let's see this one. So this is 600. So this is 150 to £100 more than our studio 1-bed. Okay, nice, nice. Nice. Okay, basic. Yeah, so it's basic, but it will rent quite easily. Let's take a look at the other one. This actually looks like a newer block, this one. Looks quite nice. Yeah, it's a newer block. Wow. That does not look good inside. I don't get it at all. If this was mine, I would throw away all this old furniture, get those curtains out, get that lampshade, get the carpets out, give it a lick of paint, new carpet, couple £1,000, and you're going to rent that really easy. But instead, it's in a bad state and it's on the market. I don't know how long this has been on for. Either way, that's what I would have done with that. So here we go. We got 600 then. So we can close these 2 tabs down. So we've got 600 here for 2 beds. So now we look at this. Is it realistic for a 1-bed to get 500? And is it realistic for a studio to get 450? I'm going to say maybe. See, if I had a choice, and I had a choice, let's say I'm a nurse, because that's who we're going to look at right next to the hospital there, and I had a choice between a 2-bed for £600, where I could potentially share with another nurse, or if I had a 1-bed for 500, I know which option I'd go for. So I need to make my units competitive. So the first thing I do then is I'm going to drop these. I'm not going to rent them at 500. I'm going to rent that at 475. And I'm going to rent that at 425. That's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm now more competitive than this. And just to really seal the deal, I'm going to make these apartments absolutely stunning inside. So the problem is, Hearts, for whatever reason, have not given good photos and good information on this. I don't know why. I mean, if I was going to make a fee on 1.7 million sale, I would not be loading this sort of stuff. I'd have a professional floor plan. I'd have really good photos, not these blurry photos. So I don't really know what's going on here. And I definitely wouldn't put a photo of a smashed window in either. But there we go. Let's calculate this then. Now we have 11 times 1-bed flats, so 11 at 475, and we're going to times that by 12 months. So now we're dropping down to 62,700, which again is fine. I'm going to have 22 studios at 425, annually 112,200. Just check those. Yeah. So let's take the 112,200. Let's add on the 62,700, and we're now at 174,900. So that's our new annual income, which, if you notice, is about £10,000 less, but that's okay. It might seem a lot of money. You're talking 5% almost over 185 to 175,000 pounds. But what we're going to do is we're going to get it started like this. We're going to get it into nice condition. We're not going to make it, super luxury straight away. We're going to get into a nice condition. We're going to rent all the units out so we don't have any void ratio at all. We're just going to get it to a nice standard. And once it's full, as each person moves out, we're going to renovate and get each apartment up to a better standard, and then we're going to increase the rental price. So we're going to gradually increase the rental price based on the cash flow coming in. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the cash flow coming in to upgrade the unit until we get to a really nice standard based on the tenant group that's going to go in there. What I mean by that is, if we're going to have housing allowance in a unit like this, we're not going to make it luxury like those Birmingham apartments that you saw. We're not going to do it because it won't add any value and it won't add any income. So I would have said 10 to 15% based on these figures above, just from my experience. Whereas here, if I'm renting at this, I'm looking at about a 5% void ratio. So if you do the math on it, it'd take too long to do it now, but if we did the math on that, that's going to give us a much better return, even with the £5,000 loss, than it would at 10 to 15% void. So let's get rid of all of this then, because we don't need it, because we're not going to go off the agent's figures anyway, because I don't think they're 100% accurate. Same with this yield, I don't think that's accurate, so we can't really go by that. Whenever you see figures from an agent, you can't trust the figures at all. You have to do your own due diligence, and I learned that by getting stung a lot of times when I was younger, especially back in the 2000s. I was always getting stung by agents, so I learned not to trust their figures. So on a block this size, what we're really looking for is around a 10% ROI. So that's what we're looking for. So if it was, say, 51,500, which is what it is, if we went for it at that price, I'd probably want to get it less than 1.7, to be honest. I'd need to view, but I don't think I'd be paying 1.7 on the unit. Although that is a good price, I think it's a fair price. So 51,500, we need an annual income of £5,150. Now if we divide 5,150, divide that by 12, that's £430 per month to get a 10%. So that's going to be our 10% target, 430. Now if you look at this, the average here is about 450. So already we're over what we'd be looking at if we wanted to get a 10% ROI on this. Now I don't go by the normal terms of ROI that most investors go by, and a lot of these sales sort of trainers and courses and stuff teach, because it doesn't really mean anything. Having a 10% ROI with a mortgage and all this, it doesn't actually mean anything. The only thing that means anything to me and to most investors is the ROI on the cash invested. So let me show you that, because it is important. So let's say we buy this at 1.7. We're going to have probably a 70% mortgage on this, because it would be a sort of commercial mortgage on a residential property, if that makes sense. So you're going to get 70% as a loan to value mortgage. Yeah, so that's what you'll get as a loan to value, which means that you've got to put 30% down, and that's cash. Okay, so 30% on 1.7 is, I think it's £510,000. So that's what you've got to put down, 510,000. You're probably going to have another 200,000 thousand in stamp duty as well. Unfortunately, with the new government rules, which are a load of nonsense actually, but there you go. So 710,000 is what you're going to be in for, which is a fair chunk of money. But if we now look at the income, which we worked out was 174,900, so let's call it £175,000. So that's what we're looking at. Now if we say 710,000 is our investment, and we divide that by 100, that's 1%, so a 1% ROI would be 7,100. So that's 1%. We're now going to take 175 and we're going to divide that by 7,100. So we get a basically almost a 25% ROI on cash invested. Okay, so that's just on the cash invested. Yeah, so that's just the cash invested, the ROI. But we're also going to have capital appreciation on a 1.7 million. If we got a 10% uplift in capital gains, you're going to have, let's say, 170,000. Okay, so that's going to be your gain as well. So let's put that to the side for now, and I'm going to show you on the calculator. So let's just calculate this then. So if you go to the bottom of Rightmove, there is actually a mortgage repayment calculator, and it'll fill a lot of it in for you. So let's take the 510,000 that we'd have to put down. Let's stress test it at 5% over 20 years for commercial. So call it £8,000 is what we're going to have. Or we can do 7. We can do that. So that's our monthly. So annually, you're going to have 94,248 as your monthly repayment. And that's going to come off your 174,900. So hopefully you're still with me at this point. 174,900. We're going to deduct the 94,248. I mean, again, this is just an example. So 80,600. There we go. So that is what you would cash flow. But then of course, we said there would be voids. So we're going to have a 5% void off that as well, which you've also got to take into account. But overall, if you did get a 10% gain of 170,000, let's add that to the 80,000 here. That's look at that, that's perfect. That's a 250,000, so basically £250,000 increase. That's the sort of deal we're looking at with these bigger deals. So you can see now why they're so popular and why we do them. So if you were just increasing every year 250,000, it would only take you a few years to build up to $1 million there. I mean, you've got to pay your taxes and things like that off it. But the great thing is, on a repayment mortgage like this, all of those tenants are paying down the mortgage. So it is really, really a great deal. And the other reason, you have different types of investments. But the thing I like best about property is that you get paid twice. So let me explain what I mean by that. If you invest in gold or silver and you buy it and you hold it at your house, in your vault or whatever, yeah, okay, in the long run, you're going to get paid off on that when it increases in value. Fine. But if you compare that to property, yes, property will increase in value as well over the long run, but you also get paid a monthly cash flow on the deal. So that's what I like the most about properties like this. Now, is this a good deal? I couldn't tell you. I can only analyze what I can see in front of me in the figures, and it looks like a nice deal. If the agent is telling, being honest about it all, and it's, it's a good property, it's well maintained, it's nicely refurbished, and there's not really any voids on it, and they get in the figures that they're saying, then it's a cracking deal. And I would go for it. I would buy this. I wouldn't have any hesitation of buying it. But really, you've got to do due diligence. You've actually got to walk around a lot of these apartments and see them for yourself. And you've just got to go. I mean, if this was me and I was putting 1.7 into or $500,000 into a deal like this, I would just sit there all day in my car and I'd be watching that block. I want to see who's coming in, who's going out, what's going on, what happens when it gets dark. Are there gangs? Are there things like that around? I mean, why is that window smashed? That's what I want to know straight away. But at the end of the day, you don't buy a unit like this on emotion. You're going to buy it based on an investment. So overall, I would say this looks to be a good investment. And if that's the sort of thing you're interested in, you really want to drive over there, you want to contact the agent and you want to get a little bit more information on that. But overall, that is my sort of advice on doing big deals like this. That's how you find them. That's how you analyze them. And remember, you don't really care about the gross yield on it per annum. What you care about is how much you're going to get cash flow, how much you're going to get ROI on your cash invested. That's what you're looking for, not the annual yield of it. How much return on investment am I going to get for my cash? If I'm going to get 50% a year on my cash, then it's a good deal. If I'm not, if I'm going to get 10%, then I don't want to touch it. So hopefully that helps. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, get on there and subscribe. Just click that button because I put out loads of good videos all the time on different types of investments. And all the people I work with, my clients, they range from people who have no money, who want to get into property investments, right through to people who will buy deals like this. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to click the subscribe button and turn on updates so you get each new video as they get released. See you on the next video.